If you have your BVAS machines and there's inherent bias, infused into the BVAS machine, when it goes to the day of election and it's used for accreditation, those machines can actually be configured in a way that they would not accredit someone who is fair or someone who has tribal marks. And that there are certain tribes in Nigeria who are identified, for their tribal marks. And so when you have bias, infused in AI machines and tools, they can disproportionately affect, citizens, and they could lead to voter disenfranchisement. The second risk of AI is, the assault on human rights. It undermines human rights. AI, to a large extent, is quite intrusive. So things like data privacy. How do you protect data privacy when you're employing AI? Are some of the considerations that electoral commissions have to put in place? Because things like, the rights of citizens' rights to their data and data protection, if it's not guaranteed in the AI deployment, it could actually undermine that particular right. And there are cases where we've seen where data privacy is not guaranteed because AI was being employed. One other risk, that AI also has is the cost. When we talk about AI, it comes at a huge cost. And what our survey, of electoral commissions have actually taught us was that a lot of electoral commissions on the continent, are still reluctant to deploy AI because of the cost. And it's cost to the electoral commission. It's also cost to the country because it comes with a huge financial cost and financial burden on those institutions. But one other critical risk, and I give a classic example when it comes to disinformation, that using generative AI, and this can happen in an election. So you have a polling unit where your election is being conducted, and maybe the polling officials came early, and then you have someone takes an image, mutilates the image using generative AI, and then puts it on social media, perhaps for voters who are in that location to think that no election official showed up at that particular polling unit. And because, based on the image on social media, they will think and conclude that their polling unit did not open, so they would not go out to cast their vote. The other thing is using generative AI, you can actually clone results, results announcement process. You can, because for presidential elections, the declaration is done at the ICC. Yeah. You can use generative AI, clone Professor Mahmoud's voice and his image and the entire background of the ICC and put it online and actually make people believe that that declaration is the credible declaration. And because of the dangers that it poses, this is why there is need to have regulations for AI. And currently, because AI is evolving rapidly and the speed of the innovation, as a country, we need to rise to the occasion. Yes, the Ministry of Innovation and Digital Economy is working on a policy, but the National Assembly also needs to accelerate, its own processes to begin to think about how do we as a country regulate AI such that it doesn't undermine rights, human rights. It doesn't also serve as a tool for undermining the credibility of the electoral process. Because across the world, the discussion is about regulation. Two important things happened in the last 2 weeks. One, the EU passed the first most comprehensive EU act on AI. And then the UN, a few days later, also passed a resolution on AI. Nigeria also needs to respond because we're already employing AI within our context. Because one of the things we found in our study was that a lot of electoral commissions are using AI, but they don't know that they're using AI. So there's also a socialization bit that we need to prioritize in orienting people and educating them on AI, its potential as well as its risk, and how you engage in a balancing act in such that AI is not used to undermine and threaten the democratic process, especially given that this is a super year of elections where we have over 24 elections across the continent.